Last week, I went over the main deck monsters for my Zombeast custom archetype. The chief mechanic is a set of monsters which have a minor on-field effect, then banish themselves from the graveyard to special summon a turned variant from the main deck. The archetype interacts with pretty much every zone in some way or another, which I think is fun. This week, I follow up with the spell and trap support. I have 2 normal spells, a quick play spell, a couple field spells, and a single trap to support the monsters. I'm going to start with the less complex support first. Zombiest Cycle is a normal spell card. Discard a Zombiest monster, draw 2 cards. You can only activate Zombiest Cycle once per turn. This is neutral card advantage, which draws 2 cards. A decent parallel is with Trade-In, although this card has a hard once per turn restriction. Digging deeper into the deck is Acceleration, which boosts consistency, even if there is no material card advantage to be gained. This card is another option to discard a brick turned Zombiest monster from the hand, but is more useful when discarding a living Zombiest. This starts the ball rolling and can give you a turned Zombiest monster on board. The theme of hard once per turn restrictions are carried over from the last video, and I might need to work on finding other ways to balance cards, but this is a surefire way to establish a hard power ceiling. Zombiest Revival also has a hard once per turn. This quick play spell has the effect special summon 1 turned Zombiest monster from the graveyard in attack position. Destroy it during the end phase. This is a narrower version of Archfiend's Roar, hitting a smaller pool of targets, but being a quick play spell means it has quite a bit more initiative than the trap card. The last normal spell is Life's Continuum. This effect is a bit verbose, and the card does several things to represent life, death, birth, and undeath. Return 1 banished Zombiest monster to the graveyard. Then shuffle 1 Zombiest card from the graveyard into the owner's deck. You may banish this card from the graveyard, then excavate the top card from the deck. If it is a Zombiest monster, send it to the graveyard. Repeat this process until a non-Zombiest card is revealed. You may place that card onto the top or bottom of the deck. You may only use this effect of Life's Continuum once per turn. Life's Continuum is not a Zombiest card in name, so it cannot recycle itself. The best use of the card's first effect is returning a living Zombiest monster to the graveyard to be able to activate the monster's effect a second time. Shuffling a Zombiest card back into the deck can help to recycle turned Zombiest monsters, but can also be used to return a spell or trap to the deck. Both effects are mandatory, but since the first returns a monster to the graveyard, there will always be at least 1 target available to shuffle back into the deck. The second effect is similar to Magical Merchant, but does not add a card to hand, instead scrying 1. The card does, however, have more initiative than Magical Merchant, since it is on a spell card, and even one that can be activated the turn it is sent to the graveyard. The ceiling of sending a handful of living Zombiest monsters to grave is fantastic, but even the fail state is not bad as a little bonus effect. The only trap for the video is Zombiest Crisis. Normal trap. Send all monsters on the field to the graveyard. Then, both players special summon a monster from their respective graveyard. You cannot summon for the rest of the turn. This card sends, not destroys, which is an important distinction over cards like Torrential Tribute. Reborning a monster from both players' grave gives back a little board presence and is symmetric like Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Preventing you from summoning for the rest of the turn might seem out of place, but it is important to make sure that the effect is not abused during the owner's turn to reset the board, and hence that the card is designed to function as a strong disruption tool. I think this card might be limited in the main game, but then again, Evenly Matched is at 3 now, so maybe not. With the 2 field spells, there is a bit of narrative. First we have the Fountain, the mysterious structure responsible for the zombification. Originally, there was a much grander narrative, with more cards to tell a story, and I will go over some of the preliminary design in the follow-up video. The multiple versions of the field spell are a remnant of this design. It just got too bloated and clunky to be practical, like one of the villain's decks from the anime. Returning to the cards, the first field spell is the original Fountain. Once per turn, the turn player may shuffle a card from the graveyard into the card's owner's deck. Both players may normal summon turned Zombiest monsters, ignoring their summoning conditions. I think field spells should have some symmetric benefit, and although both effects are symmetric, the second effect is only beneficial in the mirror match. This is a way to help recycle cards and softly disrupt graveyard-based strategies. I think Chicken Game is an example of a field spell that disproportionately benefits the player who activates it, mainly due to how high the ceiling of the card can be on the first turn of the game. In this case, the shuffle effect is not necessarily one that would be beneficial when going first. I know that is a lot of detail on the design philosophy for such a marginal effect, but I thought it was still worth reinforcing. The Corrupted Fountain is the other field spell. It has the following effect. All zombie monsters gain 300 attack points. While the fountain exists in your graveyard and or banished zone, you may shuffle a Zombiest monster from your hand into the deck to special summon a turned Zombiest monster from your hand or deck in attack position, ignoring its summoning condition. You can only use this effect of the Corrupted Fountain once per turn, and only once that turn. The first effect is symmetric, like the one from the Gates of the Dark World, and I think marginal attack boost is not too strong, especially since the turned Zombiest monsters have high attack in the first place. The special summon effect is tempered by the condition of having the fountain in the grave or banished zone. Remember that you can summon a turned Zombiest monster while the fountain is active, then set the Corrupted Fountain to get access to the special summon effect later in the same turn. The Corrupted Fountain is not a Zombies card, so the ignoring the summoning condition clause is necessary. This is a strong tempo play, but is still neutral card advantage. Being limited to just the turned monsters also slows down the card a bit, compared to if it were able to get out the living Zombiest monsters. Then, as far as unofficial support, I deliberately made 3 level 2 beast-type monsters for Obedience Schooled to function with the deck. This card can be used to get out the 3 beasts, but then those Zombiest monsters cannot be used to get out their zombie-type counterparts. The extra deck offers a few beast-type options to capitalize off of this boon and board presence, and I will be getting to the extra deck monsters, and even a few combos, in the 3rd video in the series, which I have already started working on.